Albert Einstein was a German-born theoretical physicist, widely acknowledged to be one of the greatest and most influential physicists of all time. Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879, in Ulm, Württemberg, Germany. The family relocated to Munich 6 weeks later, where he began his education at the Luthpol Gymnasium. They afterwards relocated to Italy, where Albert continued his study in Aarau, Switzerland, before enrolling in the Swiss Federal Polytechnic School in Zurich in 1896 to train as a physics and mathematics teacher. He became a Swiss citizen in 1901, the year he received his diploma. When he couldn't find a teaching job, he accepted a position as a technical assistant at the Swiss Patent Office. He earned his doctor's degree in 1905. He did much of his extraordinary work during his time at the Patent Office and in his leisure time, and in 1908 he was appointed private dozent in Bern. He became Professor Extraordinary at Zurich in 1909, Professor of Theoretical Physics in Prague in 1911, and Professor of Theoretical Physics at Zurich the following year. He became the director of the Kaiser Wilhelm Physical Institute and a professor at the University of Berlin in 1914. In 1914, he became a German citizen and lived in Berlin until 1933, when he resigned his citizenship for political concerns and immigrated to the United States to become a professor of theoretical physics at Princeton. He became a citizen of the United States in 1940 and left his post in 1945. After World War II, Einstein was a key role in the world government movement. He was given the presidency of the State of Israel, which he declined, and he worked with Dr. Chaim Weizmann to found the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Einstein always looked to have a deep understanding of physics problems and a strong desire to solve them. He devised his own approach and was able to see the major milestones along the path to his objective. He saw his major accomplishments as merely stepping stones to the next step forward. Einstein recognized the shortcomings of Newtonian physics early in his scientific career, and his special theory of relativity arose from an attempt to reconcile the rules of mechanics with the laws of the electromagnetic field. He worked on conventional statistical mechanics difficulties as well as situations in which they were combined with quantum theory, leading to an explanation of Brownian motion in molecules. He studied the thermal properties of light with a low radiation density and established the photon theory of light as a result of his findings. Einstein proposed that the accurate interpretation of the special theory of relativity must also provide a theory of gravitation during his early days in Berlin, and he published his work on the general theory of relativity in 1916. During this time, he also worked on difficulties in radiation theory and statistical mechanics. In the 1920s, Einstein began developing unified field theories, whilst continuing to work on the probabilistic interpretation of quantum theory, which he continued in America. He made a significant contribution to statistical mechanics by developing the quantum theory of a monatomic gas, and he also worked on atomic transition probabilities and relativistic cosmology. Following his retirement, he continued to work toward the unification of fundamental physics concepts, taking the opposite approach to the majority of scientists, geometrization. Einstein's researches are, of course, well chronicled, and his more important works include Special Theory of Relativity, General Theory of Relativity, Investigations on Theory of Brownian Movement, and the Evolution of Physics. Among his non-scientific works, About Zionism, Why War? My Philosophy, and Out of My Later Years are perhaps the most important. Many European and American universities awarded Albert Einstein honorary doctorates in science, medicine, and philosophy. He lectured around Europe, America, and the Far East during the 1920s, and he was awarded fellowships or memberships in all of the world's important scientific academies. In appreciation of his achievements, he received the Copley Medal of the Royal Society of London in 1925 and the Franklin Medal of the Franklin Institute in 1935. Einstein's skills unavoidably led to him spending most of his time in intellectual seclusion, and music played an essential role in his life as a kind of relaxation. In 1903, he married Mileva Maric, with whom he had a daughter and 2 boys. Their marriage was dissolved in 1919, and he married his cousin, Elsa Löwenthal, in the same year, who died in 1936. On April 18, 1955, he died in Princeton, New Jersey.